The unresting passion to create consumes artists to build their worlds on paintings, poems, stories, films, and music. Albert Einstein said, and I quote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited and imagination encircles the world." The magic is within us, for imagination is a spell that needs a magic wand called creativity for it to work. Imagination is chaos, and creativity gives it form and order to the inner world of the mind, a realm full of mysteries filled with more questions than answers. I call it the new alchemy, for the creative juices in the brain are heated in order to manipulate matter. This process assimilates a spiritual experience, for it is mimicking the universal consciousness that created the universe. Sadly, in this dualistic reality, you cannot have something good without something bad. Paulo Coelho said, and I quote, "Even God has his hell, and that is its love for mankind. The hell of the artist is his passion to create, for his or her life is a constant struggle between tendering that spark, that fire, in order to feel fulfillment, and at the same time the longings of security, affection, just as any other human." As Carl Jung writes in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, a very profound book, the artist's lives cannot be otherwise than full of conflicts, for two forces are at war within him. On the one hand, the common human longing for happiness, satisfaction, and security in life, and on the other, a ruthless passion for creation which may go so far as to override every personal desire. There are hardly any exceptions to the rule that a person must pay dearly for the divine gift of the creative fire. It is as though each of us were endowed at birth with a certain capital energy. The strongest force in our makeup will seize in all but monopolize this energy, living so little over that nothing of value can come out of it. In this way, the creative force can drain the human impulses to such a degree that the personal ego must develop all sorts of bad qualities, ruthlessness, selfishness, and vanity, and every kind of vice in order to maintain the spark of life and to keep itself from being wholly bereft. How can we doubt that it is his art that explains the artist and not the insufficiencies and conflicts of his personal life? These are nothing but the regrettable results of the fact that he is an artist, that is to say, a man who from his very birth has been called to a greater task than the ordinary mortal. A special ability means a heavy expenditure of energy in a particular direction, with a consequent drain from some other side of life. We take for granted that children are born with a profound capability of imagination. As we grow older, society strips it away in favor of a logical way of thinking, thus manufacturing an ordinary world in which artists are sick and bored of it. This is why they are called to change it and not to fit the norm. To the artists who are watching this video, you are well aware of the creative fire. If I may offer some advice, let it burn your soul and your body into ashes. Do not be afraid, for the fire burns, but it will never hurt you except if it's kept within. Bathe in the ashes, for it is a reminder of what we will become. For all things will become dust, but you, my dear artist, you are the wind of the north that spreads dust into stars. Burn the whole world to the ground. Do not fear, for you receive the divine gift of creative fire. Some may argue that being creative is a curse, and if you examine it, it is. For someone who is creative, he or she will feel utterly miserable if that creativity is not being put to use. Artists are absorbed in their projects that they set out to create. In conclusion, we pay dearly for the creative fire, but in the words of the great Terence McKenna, the artist's task is to save the soul of humanity. If the artist cannot find the way, then the way cannot be found.